Hello, my name is Alicia Dawn Young, and I'm excited to connect with you today to help you and support you as you grow online with your online store. If you are listening to this, chances are you are creative, currently with an online presence. So hopefully, the information that you learn today will only allow you to grow and flourish and continue the amazing work that you're doing online. And so let's get started. And so today we're going to talk about going beyond the web presence that you currently have and how to utilize your e-commerce site as a fully functioning store. This webinar is brought to you today by Bridgeway Capital and the Creative Business Accelerator, which I am a part of. And a little bit about me. So again, my name is Alicia Dawn Young. As a part of the Creative Business Accelerator, my business is a creative wellness studio called Yoga Motive. I am also the co-founder of a wellness agency called Well as Hell, and my background is in nonprofit management and arts management and consulting. So I'm excited to connect with you and share some information to support you as you grow your work online and continue this entrepreneurial journey that you're on. And so today we will discuss and highlight some of the things that will allow you to just improve your presence, which includes simplifying the buying process for your customers. So when they come to your website, what do? How you can highlight your products in a way that creates ease and communicates clearly what you're selling, how to get to know your customers a little bit better, and how you can communicate with your audience and your buyers so that you can maintain your customers and a sense of community. This webinar is for you, again, if you already have an online store. So if you have, I would say if you are building it right now. So you're building your store or you currently already have one. And so you have something to look at and something to work with and something to grow from. This is also for you if you're curious about the technical and the back end side of your business and your website, and that is exciting for you. And this is also for you if you enjoy learning more about your customers, learning more about maybe shopping patterns and just different data and analytics behind your website. And if that is all fun for you and just a curious space for you, then you are in the right place. And so let's first talk about how we can simplify things to keep in mind when we're trying to simplify the purchasing process. One of the first things we might think about when we think of a website, which is the navigation and the menu. And so I have an example here of a online store called Jungalow. And they sell a lot of home items and lanterns and tabletop and pillows and things like that, home decor. And so here is an example of their website, and their menu is pretty straightforward. They have meaningful labels. And so they're simple, one or two words. They have a very conventional menu design, which means that it is straight across the top. And some people, they actually put it either on the left side or the right side, depending on the country of origin, whether they're reading from left to right or right to left. And so it's nothing surprising for the customers. They get there, the menu is clear and obvious. And here, I don't think that they do this here, but some people also relist subcategories. So for example, if you have an item, let's just say they have planters or something like that. Planters might want to list not only under the planters section of their menu, but it could also maybe go underneath tabletop or underneath another subcategory. And so relisting some of your categories underneath other parent menu items so that the customer can find it in more than one place. And also being really strategic about the menu order. And so thinking about the most important items on your menu, and we're thinking about the something called a serial position effect, where people remember things as far as if they're reading a list, they might remember the thing first and the thing that is last. And so just inviting just a little bit more ease into this process and putting your most important things first and last also on your menu. And also on here, this company also has a search function, and they also have a couple other cute things that we'll mention throughout. But they have a little note about reviews and just a few other interesting um, design elements as well that makes it easy to navigate. Another example of that is, as far as your site navigation and your menu, is including a robust footer. Some people call them mega footers. This is not an example of a mega footer. This is a pretty, generally robust one. But I would say I know that we've all seen websites where you scroll down to the footer and every single possible thing that is on the website is in the footer. That can, for some people, that can invite a little bit more ease when it comes to navigating your website and finding information. And so every single thing that you have in your menu, taking the time to also put it in the footer. So if someone is trying to look for information, they're able to find it. So we also mentioned, let's see, a search function that I think it was on our last one, but also as far as your navigation, mention any sales that are going on, any items that are new, any discounts. And so here and at Pet Plate, at the very top, there's a bar that highlights a current discount that the customer might want to experience. And also some call out information, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, or in a few moments. And so a really important part of our website is to include different calls to action. And so a call to action is a button or link that signifies your most desired action for a site visitor. And so ideally, this call to action is used with an imperative tone, which means it's language, verbs, and nouns that are indicate an order. So call now, click here, buy now, things like that. These call to actions ideally exist above the fold. And so what that means is when you open a website, you don't have to scroll to find it. You don't have to scroll down or below to figure out where this call to action is. And also with a call to action, it next to the call of action are other important notes of information. And so that includes, like, maybe if we are, and I'll show this throughout, if I see it throughout the presentation, but maybe there's a call to action that says buy now, but right next to it, it has maybe a price, a discount code, maybe a delivery policy, like shipping is free. Reviews are near that call of action, maybe color or size or quantity or information about the product is by the call of action. And so you're inviting more intuitive moments of receiving information from your website by, again, taking the time to make your navigation and menu simple, and having information throughout, like a call to action and information around it so that people can really absorb information more easily. Here on this website, Black Girl Sunscreen, they have a few call to actions here that I'm pointing out. And so they have on the bottom left-hand side, save 20% off your first order. So that call to action is save. And also noticing the other call of action, which is buy it now, which is right above the fold. And also subscribe is another call to action. So using that imperative language and noticing that there's more than one call to action. And so some examples of call to action here are quite a few. Learn more, shop now, sign up for free, join free, including the words now or free or save in general, are helpful. It's helpful language to include words start and stop. discover, explore, add to cart, and also schedule/book a blank. And so book a class, book a session, book a consultation. And but just here are just lots of examples. There are many more, but here are some common ones that you might see on a site, so that people are just more clear about where you'd like them to go and navigate through your website. Another important part of simplifying this process is thinking about the actual checkout process. And so maybe you have given them a call to action that says buy now, add to cart, and now they're on their way through the checkout process. This website called thegood.com has this helpful graphic that kind of takes you through how that can be an easeful experience. So starting with the product page, the person chooses an item, chooses a sweater, they add it to the shopping cart, they review the item, and they make sure that it's works for them, and they might even actually look at more reviews, make sure it's something that they really want. And then they continue on and into billing, learning more about shipping information. They pay, and then they receive an order confirmation. And I think that maybe we've all experienced this. If we've ordered something online, you look at it, you add it, and maybe it feels very seamless. And if this feels seamless, that means that your e-commerce store where you purchase that item, they're really doing a really good job. And so our goal is that it also feels seamless for whenever someone is on your website too, that they're able to go through this process and it feels normal. There's no hiccups along the way. And so if we think about reasons why the purchasing process might not be seamless for someone, here about 1,800 United States adults responded here on this survey. And so here's a graph that talks about the different reasons why there might be cart abandonments during the checkout process. And so what that means are people who put something in their cart. So I put the sweater in my cart, and somehow during the process that we just saw, they did not actually finish. And so the top 3 reasons are there are extra costs, right? So shipping, taxes, and fees. And so people, when they get to the end, they're like, oh no, this shipping is too much for me. And so another reason is that the site wanted me to create an account. And so people don't actually want to maybe fully commit to having a long-term relationship with your website. And so giving people the space not to create accounts so they can just check out. And also thinking about what the checkout process is. Is it too long or too complicated? And if so, people have found that as a reason not to continue. And so it's really important that throughout this checkout process, if you're able to, for example, capture someone's email early on in the process so that we can follow up with them and we can send them a cart abandonment email, for example, which we'll talk more about later, so that you can stay in touch with them, will allow you to potentially maintain that sale in the long run. Maybe also just displaying what your shipping or taxes or fees or inventory and all that stuff, being very transparent throughout this process so that people are very clear about what's going to happen throughout the checkout process. And so thinking about things that influence cart abandonment, shipping costs and other taxes and fees, as was noted, it's 60% of, as far as when people decide to abandon their carts and not come back, 60% of respondents share that was their number one issue. And so, and I believe we think about it's not noted on this slide, but if we think about shipping only, it's about 36%, I think, of people said that's their number one reason for leaving someone's online store. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about shipping and how we can be considerate of that as we're making decisions and selling our products. And so it's really important that you choose a shipping experience that complements your online store. And so there's lots of different types of shipping scenarios. So this is given that you have chosen a carrier and that you have a relationship with them. Maybe you've negotiated some rates, or or you've just identified them. So thinking that you've already identified who your carrier will be, you have lots of options. Three options are having live rates. And so what that means is each item has shipping calculated specifically on the weight and dimensions of that item. And so if you are someone who sells furniture, or maybe really expensive products that require high amounts of insurance or something like that, things that are just that vary per product. So having an opportunity to have live rates so that the customer has to, account for shipping, and communicating that early, accounts for shipping as they purchase your product. Another option is flat rates. And so maybe what you may have seen on a website is shipping is $5 just across the board. And so that's really helpful if your products are similar in size and weight and in dimensions in general. And so you already know what your packaging is going to look like. It's very simple for you. Then having a flat rate shipping might be ideal. And of course, free shipping is an option as well, which a lot of people enjoy. And this can be ideal if you are able to to change your profit margins and increase your price to for your price to be able to absorb that shipping cost. And so let's just say if you're selling a necklace that is $75 and you know that your shipping is going to be $5, maybe you might increase your necklace to $80. And at that price point, that's something that might be reasonable for that item that you're selling, which is very different. For example, if you sell a bundle of like small notebooks, and maybe your notebooks are $5. And so doubling the price of your notebooks from $5 to $10, which would include that shipping, passing that on to your customer, for example, that might not be an ideal product to offer free shipping. And so thinking about, so free shipping would be more ideal if you have price points that could absorb that cost over time. And we know that everybody loves free shipping. So it is the ideal scenario if you have an online store. And so thinking about how you can update your profit margins and just your margins in general when it comes to your costs, your overhead, and all the other price points that make up each product's cost, and your time. That's another thing, thinking about the time it takes you to ship, the human capacity, whether it's yours or someone else's, and really accounting for that as you choose your shipping options as well. And so again, if you have similar products or prices, or a product that can absorb the price, free shipping is definitely ideal. But I don't think I think most people assume that if you are making tables or really heavy items, that shipping is more of a standard to be paid separately. So just keeping that in mind. FAQ pages, frequently asked questions, can be really helpful because it can free up some of your time when it comes to how often you communicate with your customers. It helps to create trust, right? So knowing that there's information there, that you really know your product. It increases the likelihood of people making a purchase. It increases your SEO, so your search engine optimization. And so it's ideal that whenever you're creating your frequently asked questions, that the questions are from real people. They're real questions that people have asked, whether they've asked you directly over the phone while you're maybe selling at a market, while maybe someone emails you this question all the time, but they're not ones that are from your own head. And if you're a newer business, They're questions that you find from a focus group or a survey. So they're real questions. And also, and this is from Motiva, which is sells, like vitamins and things like that. And so their questions are really thorough whenever you go into this website. And so the answers to the questions, another opportunity to engage your customer for a longer relationship, which means it's a funnel for information. So funneling them to another place. So it includes links to other items, maybe links to a blog post or links to just products in general. So as you're answering these questions, it's not a dead end for them, but allows them to continue on in their purchasing experience on your website. So an added bonus here is that they have a search menu. They have a little search option for their FAQ. So that's great. And if you have a lot of questions, so let's just say you have more than 10 questions, it's good to begin to group them into different sections. And so for the Natural Club, they have so many questions on their website that they have them grouped in with their most asked questions. And then below that, there are other different subcategories. And so it's helpful for people to just have that information as soon as they go onto the website. And so another thing to consider when kind of updating your online presence is how to highlight your products. And so we might start out with like taking our photos in your home, in your kitchen, in your backyard, right? You just got to start somewhere, which is awesome. But thinking about how we might want to enhance our online presence begins with thinking about how can we really create compelling photography so that we can really showcase the products that we're selling. And so one of the ways that we can do that as we're taking photos is taking multiple angles of your product. So we're not going to just take one head-on shot, but give the potential buyer an opportunity to experience your product as best they can online. And doing so by taking multiple angles can be really helpful. It's an industry standard to have a white background. And so it can be very straightforward to find, create a studio setup or a small setup in your space to offer yourself a white background that's well lit so that you can begin to allow your product to really be displayed in a way that consumers are used to seeing them. And so another opportunity is to be consistent. I love these dolls. I had to include them. And so be consistent with how you display your products. And so it's an opportunity for people to get to know your brand and get to know you, and also to just to have something to look forward to and to feel like that you're a little bit more dependable. And so allowing people to see consistent images can just give them opportunity to be more clarity, to have more clarity and more intuitive moments that you are on their website. In addition to that, having great lighting. And so really investing in some, professional grade lighting equipment, or hiring professional photographers who have that, if you don't want to capture your own products, I think that is reasonable. But finding someone who has a great equipment, a great studio setup so that your items can really shine. And also thinking about investing in photo editing software as well. Oh, and so yes, also here, investing in good lighting. And then, so thinking about the shoes on the left versus the shoes on the right. And the shoes on the left, I think sometimes when we are taking photos, we might want to get really creative with how we display things, but we don't always need to. Sometimes having just a clear image that highlights our shoes or our product in a way that is that really uplifts the product can be better than trying to get I don't know, trying to have a different angle. Sometimes that can lose the customer and their ability to actually see your work. And so maybe trying some straightforward or simple images and angles that really allow your product to shine. And another point to bring up is just using high resolution images. And if we have the capacity to do that on our phones and iPads, all the, they're amazing. And so that's a wonderful option. And also taking the time to either invest in someone who does professional product photography. And so taking a moment to alleviate that work from your own plate as you're already, if you're in the creative business accelerator, you're already creating and doing a lot of work. And so making space for someone else who's a professional to support you so that your product can really shine. Another thing to think about that complements your photography is your product descriptions. And so I read this very, very interesting article on BigCommerce, and the information is right there on the bottom. And it has a lot of information about how to write compelling photography, and that's also very funny. And so on the left-hand side, you'll see, well, first of all, we have two candles here. They probably both smell great, but which one would you rather enjoy? On the left-hand side, there's a candle that's called the Vanilla Bean Woodwick Jar Candle, described as relax with the warm, natural scent of pure vanilla bean. And on the right-hand side, we have Long Winter's Nap Candle. Enjoy the comforting scent and crackling flame of this candle inspired by Santa's visit. So, which one do you need in your life? I'm pretty sure we all want to be warm and thinking about a long winter's nap. And so it's just another reminder that how important our copy is and our product descriptions are. And so really taking the time to write copy that is in the voice of our brand and that really complements the type of product that we're selling. And so here is another example of that. And so not even reading this copy, we can see that it's easy to understand. So it's formatted for reading at a glance. It's a mix of narrative language and bullet point information. It includes the materials, the measurements, and the features of the product, knowing that the more complex your product is, the more detailed of a product description you'll have. And also understand, thinking about the fact that the number one purpose of our product description is to inform people about what we have. And so is it actually telling you about what your product is? And then our next goal of our product description is to really persuade people to buy your product. And so what other language can you use? How can you invite your brand in the tone of voice in your brand? How does that come through in your product description? And think about and we'll talk a little bit about this in a second, but about your customer. You're really writing to that one target audience member, having a person in mind when we're creating our product descriptions, and also thinking about how can we really invite an emotional response, whether that's joy, laughter, empathy. How can we invite an emotional response when we're creating these product descriptions? And so thinking about that like ideal or that target audience member or customer, it brings me into this other section of our conversation, which is about knowing your customer and knowing your target audience. And so one of the ways that we begin that conversation, which is just an introduction here, which is thinking about a buyer persona. So a buyer persona, this is from HubSpot. If you haven't been to HubSpot on their Make My Persona little app online, you should just do it. It's very cute. but they invite you to create a persona, which is a semi-fictional representation of your ideal customer based on market research and real data about your existing customers. And if you go to their website, you'll have an opportunity to kind of walk through the process a little bit and to begin to think about what are those attributes of your buyer persona. Now, and when it comes to the research of your buyer persona, it's helpful to have actual data. So this will not give you the data about your own product. We'll talk a little bit more about, or not about your own customer. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next few slides. But this is just a helpful resource when you're creating your buyer persona to be able to do it in a fun way. And there's another company, I think they're called Column 5, and they provide a lot of information about how to think about your buyer personas. And they provide worksheets, it's all online, it's very, very helpful. And so after we've done that research, actually, we haven't done the research yet. We're gonna use our data information about our customers to be able to create this buyer persona to get to that goal. And so our goal is to actually make data-driven decisions to be able to not only think about our ideal customer, but just also navigating through our website. How do we decide which products to sell when, and how to feature them, and what is all that influenced by? And so, Google's everywhere. And so Google Analytics is one of the most popular ways that we as a community, as a world, gather information about our customers. It's embedded into, I would say, every popular e-commerce website. So if you're on Squarespace, WooCommerce, Shopify, all of those places offers Google Analytics. So you can receive information about how your website is doing and about the customers that have come through your website. And so it's in the back end, and you have to go through your settings to get there differently depending on what software you're using. But some of the information that we might gather are our referrals. And so our referrals are when someone comes to our website, where do they come from? Who is referring them? And that might be organically, like Google search engine. People are like, I'm just looking for your website. And that might be from Facebook or other specific social media platforms. And so that's noted in there. This person came from Twitter, this person came from Instagram, or this person came from this other website. And so if you have a relationship with another third party, or if you have an ad on another person's website or program, it shows you where your customers have been referred to. Also thinking about, it gives you information about bounce rates. So the people who come to your website and then leave, and where are they leaving from? What was the last page that they were on? Did they go anywhere else? And so that's also helpful information to be able to capture. The location of your buyers. And so where were they? I think it's always really interesting when you see people when you go to your analytics and see that people are buying or viewing your website from all over the world, and also where are they buying from, which is helpful. And also your page use. So what are your popular pages? How many pages? What pages are the most popular? And how much time are people spending on these pages and things like that. And so once you gather this type of information, it begins to help answer different questions about your website. And so regarding referrals, which channels drive new customers? And so if you're able to see where people are coming from, especially if someone is brand new, if they go through the purchasing process, you're able to see, I see most of my sales are coming from Facebook, or I see most of my sales are coming from organic website clicks. Maybe it's word of mouth and people are just coming onto my website. Looking at bounce rates, you can see, where do we lose customers? Do people just come to the home page and leave? Do they go all the way through the checkout process and then leave? Or do they go to this one page and then they don't make a purchase. So where am I most likely to have someone exit my online store? And as far as location, where's my audience? So where am I popular in the world? And this might allow someone to see where they might place ads, or where they may, if you are a combination of being an online store and an in-person store, where is there another opportunity for you to sell in person, for example? And in regards to your page views, you can see over time, like what trends exist with certain times of year, with certain products. And all of this information can be used to go back, and then maybe we tweak our product details, we tweak our photos, maybe we begin to include, maybe we change information on our website based on the information that we see here in our data, so that we are less likely to have people bounce from our website and lose customers along the way. Maybe we are increasing our attention to certain neighborhoods or communities where we're selling products, or maybe we're increasing our presence on certain social media channels because we know we're more likely to get a sale there. Or maybe we're decreasing our efforts in certain times of year. Maybe we go on vacation. Maybe we notice that, there's a certain season for my work, and there's a certain season when people are less likely to buy. Maybe I'll actually reduce my staff and my time during a certain time of year so that I can take a break, right? And so all this information can help inform how you run your website in a way that just invites more ease into your life, and also hopefully increases more sales. And so another thing that I'm going to talk about is communicating with people, and how that influences or can just support a more robust online presence. And so one of the things that, I'm sure we learned in kindergarten, say thank you. Say thank you to people. And it seems very simple, but I think that we probably don't do it enough. And so thinking about, who do we say thank you to? Do we say thank you to every customer that comes in, hopefully in some way? Do we say thank you to specific audience members, people who buy specific products? The different people get different types of thank yous. What are we providing, or how are we saying thank you? And so what is the thank you? Is it an email that is just an automatic response? Are we putting in a handwritten note in some of our packages after we mail them something, if you have a physical product and not a digital product? Are there package inserts? Are we following up with certain customers with a special discount post-purchase? Are we thanking people with a customer spotlight in some way? So once we're thinking about who are the different types of people that we can thank, what do we thank them with, or how do we thank them? And then how much will it cost? So what is our budget for thank yous? If our budget is zero, right? How that might be like, what can we do just to say thank you with our words or with an email? If we do have a budget, how can we create those inserts or some of those little additional gifts inside of a package when we mail them something, just to say, I appreciate your business. And then thinking about when, it's just how often, when do we say thank you? Is it after certain things happen? After a certain purchase, certain seasonal events happen? Is there an anniversary of some kind, either for your business or the customer that comes up? And so thinking about all of these different things is just another opportunity to be able to communicate with your customer and show your appreciation and your value of them for purchasing at your site. One of the things that I came across with saying thank you, and also just general communicating, was this website I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, Brother Velius. They sell some very cute shoes and handbags and things like that. And I went to their website and I saw like this little pop up, which was like, hey, here's another way we want to communicate with these like little love letters. And it notes them as sporadic notes with new product launches, seasonal playlists, general musings from friends, and of course, our annual sample sale invitation. And I was like, okay, you all are on top of it. What a beautiful way to use the language on brand for your audience, love letters, and knowing that, hey, there's information about our products, but it's also just like, hey, this is our personality. Here's some playlists, here's some things that we're interested in, and we're just gonna just share this information with you. And I'm like, I want to sign up for a love letter. And so thinking about how we can not only say thank you, but just communicate with people in a way that's on brand for us. So if someone we thought about earlier, people 60, the reasons why people leave, might abandon a cart. So all these different reasons why people might abandon a cart. And so activating the cart abandonment software on your e-commerce website will allow another opportunity to communicate to people who are potential customers. And so most websites offer this feature, and there's an opportunity to customize it. And so activating it so that it sends automatically when someone abandons their cart, and then customizing the email so that it reflects your brand, your tone, your voice, and your language. And then also really thinking about, what does a live chat function look like on your website? And so that would be a person, so not a robot, because that exists too, but a person that's available to answer questions to people who may not find all their answers on an FAQ. And then using that information from your Google Analytics. When are people more active on my website? Are there certain seasons, certain times of day? Using that information to inform these types of decisions. So maybe I might staff, or be available for this live chat at a certain time of day, so that I'm not there. We're not going to be there 24/7. We got to make art. And so how can you staff this live chat so that people are more likely to, so that you're more likely to be present when people really need you? And so another opportunity to communicate with your customer is sharing social proof. And so this website, I think this was actually the natural, I don't have it listed here, but I believe it's the natural hair website that was listed earlier with the FAQ. And they did a really good job with sharing social proof. They have reviews, almost 1,600 reviews when this was taken. They have posts from Instagram, right? So they have their social media posts, and on here in general, they just have a lot of robust information that says other people have purchased this too. So this is why you should also purchase this product. There's also different types of social proof. If you go, I'm sure we've all been to a website and then it says, Alicia in Utah just purchased this hotel 5 minutes ago, or this other person is looking at this hotel with you, this hotel room or whatever. Like it'll show you when another person is viewing or purchased the product that you're also looking at. And so that's another thing that provides social proof, and in that case, urgency, so that someone is more likely to make a purchase. And another, excuse me, those are called transactional pop-ups. And another opportunity for social proof would be like listing your top sellers. And so having that information available, and having third parties or different influencers that are in alignment with your brand keyword, alignment with your brand, so that they can also share that your product is amazing. And another thing as far as communication, which is not listed here, but that also blogging. Not only does blogging increase your SEO, but it's also another opportunity for you to share social proof, just more information about your work to your potential audience. So we talked about simplifying your buying process. which means thinking about your menu, your site's navigation, your calls to action, your checkout process, like just the buying process, someone arriving to your website and moving through it in a way that feels easeful. So taking the time to make it simple and clear and intuitive for your potential customer. We also talked about highlighting your products in a way that really amplifies like the amazing work that you put into creating these products. And so creating high quality product photos that you either learn to take those photos yourself or hiring a professional, and also including product descriptions and copy that is clear, on brand, and really speaking to your target audience and those buyer personas. And that leads into knowing your customer. And so we talked about how important it is to look at data and how data can inform the decisions that we make, so that we're more likely to reach our customers. And then we also talked about communicating with your customer. And so saying thank you, and an example of love letters, love notes, of sending emails to folks, and just doing things and staying in touch and sharing social proof in a way that allows you to maintain and build your customer base. And so that's a lot of information. And sometimes it might feel like too much information. I think about like the target audience for even this conversation here, which is someone who makes their own work, like makes the product, who is really passionate about that process, that creative process. And sometimes when you get to this process online, when you want to enhance your online store, all of these things just might feel like too much, and it might be. And so I invite you to pick one thing to start with. There's a long list. Don't make it a big deal. Out of all the things that you heard, I'm sure there may have been one thing that really stood out to you, or just is calling your name, like, oh, that I'm really curious about that, or that seems really fun. Like, what's the most fun? And so really just pick one thing, taking your time to work through that. And once you finish that, then picking another thing. Our idea is not to, unless we're hiring and we can afford and we have the resources to hire an outside party, the goal is not to do all of this by ourselves, because that would not, probably wouldn't be fun for everyone. But really being able to improve your site in small, manageable and impactful ways, so that overall you're still able to create your art, make your product, in addition to maintaining your site. And if you need some inspiration, here are some of the e-commerce businesses that were featured on the presentation today, all of which are Black-owned businesses. And so if you're interested in purchasing any of those products, or just exploring the different ways that people set up their e-commerce websites, feel free to take a look there and be inspired. And as we conclude our time today, I just hope that you were able to find some information that was helpful to you, that really stuck with you, that you were inspired by. And hopefully we're able to just, again, choose one thing that really makes us curious, sparks our interest, so that we can begin to do this work. We don't want it to take away from our creative process, but really choosing something so that it can enhance what we're already doing, and so that our work can continue to shine and flow and our customers can continue to grow. So thank you for your time today. Again, my name is Alicia Dawn Young. You can find me at Yoga Motive on Instagram if you want to learn more about my work. And hopefully I'll see you around with Bridgeway Capital and the Creative Business Accelerator.